Good afternoon, ma'am, and to all my classmates. In this video, we will discussing about the cooking method. Method of cooking or cooking method. Cooking method is a practice of combining and mixing ingredients and adding spices in our food and how we cook our food in many ways. Cooking is also a helpful way for the body to digest better. The body can get enough nutrients from raw foods. Those cooking help the nutrients to interact together and let the body benefits from them. So we all know that food is an appropriate environment for germs, bacteria, and viruses. But by the cooking food, those pollutants will disappear. There are three types of cooking method. The first is the dry heat cooking methods, and the second is the moist heat cooking methods, and the third is the combination cooking method. Let's start from dry heat methods. Dry heat methods mean cooking without any water or steam, although some kinds of cooking oil is often used. Dry heat methods are for foods which are naturally tender. There are some examples of dry heat cooking methods like baking, searing, roasting, sauteing, barbecuing, deep frying, shallow frying, stir frying, pan frying, and grilling. Baking. Baking is a way of preparing food by the process of conduction, generally in a closed oven. In the process of baking, starch content in the food is processed, usually decreased, that provides the food a brown color which lends it an attractive and appetizing look. Searing. Searing is a cooking the surface of a piece of meat at a high temperature until well brown. This technique enhances the flavor of the meat, leaves a flavorsome sediment in the pan that can be deglazed and useful gravy, and makes the joint much more visually appealing once roasted. Roasting. Roasting is a dry heat method of cooking where hot air from an open flame, or another heat source completely surrounds the food, cooking it evenly on all sides. Sauteing. Sauteing is a method of cooking food that uses a small amount of fat in a shallow pot over relatively high heat. Barbecuing. Barbecuing refers to a fast cooking process done directly over high heat. Deep frying. Deep frying means cooking food in oil deep enough to cover it to allow the food to float in the oil. Shallow frying. Shallow frying is a hot oil-based cooking technique. It is typically used to prepare portion-sized cut of meat, fish, potatoes, and patties, such as fritters. Shallow frying can also be used to cook vegetables. Stir frying. Stir frying is a way of quick cooking foods with a small amount of oil over high heat. This ingenious cooking method from the East preserves the flavor, freshness, and nutrients of the dishes. Ingredients. Since a cooking goes so quickly, the main thing to remember when stir frying is to have all your ingredients prepared and close at hand before you begin cooking. Pan frying. Pan frying is done by adding enough fat to a hot pan so that the fat comes up about half an inch up the side of the pan. Food is partially submerged in the fat and then flip over so the other side can cook. An example is a crab cake, which is cooked until golden brown on one side and then turn over so the other side can brown. Grilling. Grilling is a form of cooking that involves dry heat applied to the surface of food, commonly from above, below, or from the side. Grilling usually involves a significant amount of direct radiate heat and tends to be used for cooking meat and vegetables quickly. The second type of cooking methods, the moist heat methods. Moist heat methods mean cooking food in water or steam, like stewing, poaching, boiling, simmering, steaming, pressure cooker, or blanching. Stewing. Stewing is a combination cooking method for cooking smaller pieces of food in liquid after browning or blanching, used for smaller items. The stewing process: sear the food product in a pan over high heat. Completely cover the food with liquid. Bring the food into a simmer and cook until tender. Vegetables can be added during the cooking process. Poaching. Poaching, which means to cook food in water that is hot but not bubbling, usually tender, delicate foods like eggs. Boiling. Boiling, cooking in a liquid that reach boiling point when the liquid is producing large bubbles that rise to the surface and break. Nutrient loss is very high when using this method, suitable for pasta and corn on the cob. Simmering. Simmering, when a liquid rises gently and just begin to break the surface. To simmer foods, we generally bring water to a boil and then reduce the heat so that food will simmer. More foods can be simmered than boiled. Steaming. Steaming, a method of cooking foods over but not in a boiling water. Many foods can be steamed. Also, it helps them retain their shape, color, flavor, and nutrients. Pressure cooker. Pressure cooker is an airtight utensil for quick cooking or preserving of foods by means of high temperature steam under pressure. Blanching. Blanching, to plunge food into a boiling water. The water is then brought back to the boil and the food is cooked boiled for the specified time, usually 1 to 2 minutes. It is then taken out to boiling water and immediately immersed into cold or ice water to cool it quickly and help stop the cooking process. This is called refreshing. The third types of cooking method is the combination cooking method because the product is first browned using dry heat. Before it cooked with a liquid. Braising. Braising. It uses both dry and moist cooking methods. Braised foods are first browned using a little fat, then liquid is added. The pan is then covered and the food is simmered.